नाभिपात्मा Bhavanat aham avirasham.
The form which I see is eternally freed from material contamination and has advanted to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of eternal internal potency. This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home.
Text 3. Nataha param paramayat bhavata swarupam anandamatram avikalpam aviddavarchaha pashyami vishvashrujamekam avisham atman bhutendriya atma kamadasta upashritosmi.
O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your presence, form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of cosmic manifestation and yet you are untouched by matter.
Text 4. Tatva idam bhuvanamangalamangalya Dhyayena smano darshitam ta upasakanam Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvidhe matubhyam Ya yona drato naraka bhagbir asat prasangeha.
This present form, or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes, since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics.
Text 5. Ye tu tvadiya chara ambujkoshagandham Jekranti karna vivare shrutivata Bhaktya grihata charana parayachate sam Nap esinatha hridayam bhur bhuruhat swapumsam.
Accept your devotional service. For them, you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts.
Text 6. Tvatbhayam dravina dehasrunimitam Shokha spraha paribhavo vipulaschalobha Tavanmameti asat avagra artimulam Yavannatena grim abhayam pravranitalokaha.
O my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, and friends. They are fulfilled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable concepts of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties.
Text 7. Devena teha totiho bhavata prasanga sarva subhopas mana manat vimukhendriyaye kurvanti kama sukhaleshu lavayadina lobha vibhuta manaso kusalani sasvat.
O my Lord, persons who are bereft of the all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a very little while.
Text 8. Tridha tubhirimamuhur artyamanaha Sitos navata varaser ita retaracha Kamagni achyutaru sasa chasu sudurbharena Sampasyato mana urukrama siddhate me.
O great actor, my lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion and bile, attacked by coughing winter, blasting summer, rains and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable uh, anger. I take pity on them and am very much aggrieved for them.
Text 9. Yavat pratактvam idam atmana indriyartha maya balam bhagavato jana isa pasyeta tavanna samsriti asoprati sankrate krameta vyartha api dukkha nivaham vahati kriyartha.
O my Lord, the material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. Yet, as long as the conditioned soul sees the body as meant for sense enjoyment, he cannot get out of the entanglement of material miseries, being influenced by your external energy.
Text 10. Ahni apratarta karanani sini sayana nanna manoratha priyakshana bhagna nidraha deva hatartha rachana rasayopi deva yusmat prasanga vimukha iha samsaranti.
Such non devotees engage their senses in very troublesome and extensive work, and they suffer insomnia at night because the intelligence constantly breaks their sleep with various mental speculations. They are frustrated in all their basic plans by supernatural powers. Even great sages, if they are against your transcendental topics, must rotate in this material world.
Text 11. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavitarit saroja asse shrute ksitapatho nannunatha pumsam yadyatiyata urugaya vibha vayanti tattat vapuha prana yase sad anugrahaya.
O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the years by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their ears, hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you.
Text 12. Nati prasidati tathopachito pacharera aradhitaha sura ganeridivatta kameha yat sarvabhutadaya yasat alabhayaya eko nanna janeshwa avahita shudra antar atma.
My Lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods, who arrange for your worship very pompously, with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the super soul, just to show your causeless mercy, and you are the eternal well-wisher, but you are unavailable for the non-devotee.
Text 13. Pumsam atovi vidhakaram adva danena chogra tapasa paricharyaya cha aradhanam bhagvatastava satkriyaartho dharmorpatiha karchit mriyate nayatra.
But the pious activities of the people, such as performance of the Vedic rituals, charity, austere penances, and transcendental service performed with the view to worship you and satisfy you by offering you the fruitive results, are also beneficial. Such acts of religion never go in vain.
Text 14. Sasvat Swarupa Mahas Eva Nipita Bheda Moha Yabodha Dis Anya Nama Parasme Visho Vishoda Bhava Sitilayeshu Nimita Leela Rasayatena Maidam Chakrame Swaraya.
Let me offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Transcendence, who is eternally distinguished by his internal potency. His indistinguishable impersonal feature is realized by intelligence for self realization. I offer my obeisances unto him who by his pastimes enjoy the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation.
Text 15. Yasya avatara gunakarma vidambanani namani yesu vigame vivasa granati nanti तेनायकजन्म समलं सहस एव हित्वा संयन्ति अपावृत्तं ऋतं तम् अजं प्रपद्ये.
Let me take shelter of the lotus feet of him whose incarnations, qualities, and activities are mysterious imitations of the worldly matters. One who invokes his transcendental names, even unconsciously at the time he quits this life, is certainly washed immediately of the sins of many, many births and attains him without fail.
Text 16. Yuva aham cha girisascha vibhu swayam cha sthiti udbhava pralaya hetava atma mulam भित्त्वा त्रिपद वव्रत एक उरु परारोहस् तस्मै नमो भगवते भुवाना द्रुमया.
Your Lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary systems. This tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in three trunks, as me, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we three have grown with many branches. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation.
Text 17. Loko vikarma nirata kusela प्रमतः कर्माणि अव्यं त्वद् उदिते भवत् अर्चने स्वे यस्त्वदस्य बलवम् इह जीवितसं सद्यश्चिन्नति अनिमिषय नमोऽस्तु तस्मै.
People in general all engage in foolish acts, not in the really beneficial activities enunciated directly by you for their guidance. As long as their tendency for foolish work remains powerful, all their plans in the struggle for existence will be cut to pieces. I therefore offer my obeisances unto him who acts as eternal time.
Text 18. Yes, yasmad bibhemi aham api dvi Parardhadhisnyam adyasitah sakalaloka namaskritam yat tebe tapo bahusavo varuri varurutas tas samanas tasmai namo bhagavate dhim akhayatubham.
Your Lordship, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are indefatigable, time, and the enjoyer of all sacrifices, although I am situated in an abode which will continue to exist for a time duration of two paradhas, although I am the leader of all other planets in the universe, and although I have undergone many, many years of penance for self realization, still I offer my respects unto you.
Text 19. Triyanmanusya vibhudadishu jivayonisva atme chayatma kritasetu pari sayayaha reme nirasta vishayopya avruddha dehas tasmai namo bhagavate purushottamaya.
O my Lord, by your own will, you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings, as well as among the demigods, to perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of religion, and therefore, O Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms.
Text 20. यो विद्ययानुपहतोऽपि दस अर्थवृत्तय निद्रम् उवाहचत् हरि कृत लोक यत्रः अन्तर्जले हि कसिपु स्पार्सनुकूलम् भीमोर्मिमालिनी जानस्य सुखं विवृण्वन्.
My lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen.
Text 21. यन्नाभिपद्मा भवनदहमसम्मयित्य लोकात्रयोपाकर्णो यत् अनुग्रहेण तस्मै नमस्त उदरस्थ भाव्ययोगा निद्रावसाना विकसन् नलिनेक्सनाय.
O object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe were stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now your sleep have ended. Your eyes are open like blossoming lotuses in the morning.
Text 22. सोऽयं समस्त जगतं सुरत् एक आत्मा सात्वेन यन्वर्तयते भगवान् भगेन तन् एव मयदृशम् अनुस्प्रसतत्या यथाहं श्रक्ष्यामि पुरवत् इदं प्रणतप्रियोऽसौ.
Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the friend, He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and He manifests all for the ultimate happiness by His six transcendental opulences. May He be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create, for I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please forgive my mistakes. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Hare Krishna. Just wanted to check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And also just wanted to say thank you, Namrata Mataji, and to Adidevi Mataji as well for reciting the Sanskrit and English translations. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I'm just going to share you my screen. Just want to check that you can see that okay. I think it's the wrong screen. Is that okay? Can you see that?
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Krishna Govinda Das. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in for today's chat class. Srimad Bhagavatam, we're going to be reading from Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, and the verses that we're reading is verses 15, 16, and 17. Sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritcham Naram Jaiva Narottanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastashvu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavatam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So, Canto 3, Chapter 9, verse 15. Yasavatara Guna Kama Vidambanani Namani Yesu Vigame Vikasha Grinanti Teneka Jalma Samalam Sahashiva Hitva Samyanti Apavritam Tamajam Prapadi. Translation. Let me take shelter of the lotus feet of him whose incarnations, qualities, and activities are mysterious imitations of worldly affairs. One who invokes his transcendental names, even unconsciously, at the time he quits his life, is certainly washed immediately of the sins of many many births and attains him without fail. So this is a dialogue between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma's reciting these particular verses to Lord Vishnu. Purport: by His Divine Grace, I see Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The activities of the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are a kind of imitation of the activities going on in the material world. It's just like an actor on a stage. An actor imitates the activities of a king on a stage, although actually he is not the king. Similarly, when the Lord incarnates, he imitates parts with which he has nothing to do. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 14, it is said that the Lord has nothing to do with the activities in which he is supposedly engaged. Namam karmani lipanti name karma phales priha. The Lord is omnipotent. Similarly, by his will, he can perform anything and everything. When the Lord appeared as Lord Krishna, he played the part of the son of Yashoda and Nanda, and he lifted the Govardhan hill. Although lifting a hill is not his concern, he can lift millions of Govardhan hills by a simple desire. He does not need to lift it with his hand, but he imitates the ordinary living entity by his lifting, and at the same time exhibits his supernatural power. Thus his name is chanted as the lifter of Govardhan hill, or Sri Govardhan Dari. Therefore, his acts in his incarnations and his partiality to the devotees are all imitations only. Just like the stage makeup of an expert dramatical player, his acts in that capacity, however, are all omnipotent. The remembrance of such activities of the incarnations, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is as powerful as the Lord himself. Ajamil remembered the holy name of the Lord Narayan by merely calling the name of his son Narayan, and that gave him a complete opportunity to achieve the highest perfection of life. So I'll recite the introduction prayers, invocation prayers. Do join in, please. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshar Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakavalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabana Sada Devi Panamami Haripaye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Chapatitanam Nevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I also like to offer my prayers to my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhaktacharya Swami, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktacharya Swami Tinamane. Kindly seek his blessings. Kindly seek the blessings of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devam, Gauravani Pachayane, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Kindly also seek the blessings of all the listeners today. May I speak on the wonderful glories and topics and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So once again, this verse is so beautiful. On the translation for this particular verse, it mentions about one who invokes his transcendental names. For one who's taken shelter of his lotus feet, his incarnation, qualities, and activities are mysterious imitations of worldly affairs. So previously we mentioned about the importance about the four aspects of the Supreme Lord, the name of the Supreme Lord, Nama, the form of the Supreme Lord, his Rupa form, his transcendental activities or qualities, rather his qualities and his guna form, and then also his lila, his pastimes, his activities which he performs. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. If I just share this particular verse with you, this is from Mahanidhi Swami. He was a disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. From his website, he mentions about the importance about the holy name, which actually is imbibed as the similar qualities as his Rupa form, as his Guna form, as his Lila form. Rupa, Guna, Lila, Sfurti, Nama, Chada, Hoyana. Rupa, Guna, Lila, Hoite, Krishna, Nama, Hoyana. Revelations of the Transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes are never manifest in the absence of his holy name. The holy name of Krishna is never separated from his transcendental form, qualities, or pastimes. This is from Prakrita Rasa Sata Dushini, verse 31. So furthermore, he explains by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it describes tacity of the senses. Other than the pure transcendental names of Krishna, which are completely free from all material contact, nothing else should be spoken. Other than the pure transcendental forms of Krishna, which are completely free from all material contact, nothing else should be seen. Other than the pure transcendental qualities of Krishna, which are completely free from all material contact, nothing else should be heard. Other than the pure transcendental pastimes of Krishna, which are completely free from all material contact, nothing else should be served. So sometimes when you read Prabhupada's purports, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes about the importance about always thinking about Krishna 24 hours a day. He says, talk about Krishna, speak about Krishna, hear about Krishna, eat about Krishna, listen about Krishna, see only Krishna. Everything that you do, all your senses, you're actually absorbed in thinking, remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's very important because here, later on in this particular verse, it translates that even unconsciously, when you think about the holy name of the Lord, at the time when he quits his life, he's suddenly washed away from all the sins which have accumulated by many, many births and lifetimes without fail. So we can understand the importance from the Bhagavad Gita to two popular verses that we read from the chapter 8. For one who at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, attains my nature, this there is no doubt. So one who remembers the Supreme Lord, whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature, this there is no doubt. But at the same time, if your thoughts and mind and desires are on something else which isn't related to Krishna, then Krishna also says, whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his body, son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So the whole idea of this rare form of human life, Srila Prabhupada explains, because we've got this higher consciousness as a human life, we've been through the cycle of 8,400,000 species of life. It's important to utilize our knowledge, our intelligence in serving Krishna, serving his devotee, just by constantly reading and serving Krishna in whatever capacity we can. So within the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada also mentions about the story of Ajamil at the end. Now, also we mentioned this previously in one of our talk. Ajamil, he was a great devotee, a great brahmana, but by connection to a prostitute, he fell down, he left his family, he even threw his father out from his household life. He accepted this prostitute as his wife and had many children. Of the youngest son, he was a young boy, he named him Narayan, even though Ajamil completely rejected his spiritual life, his devotional life, rejected his brahmanical qualities. He refrained from many devotional activities and also adhered to sort of sinful reactions, of all sort of heinous crimes that you can consider. But at the time of his death, when he was on his deathbed, he was very attached to his son, whose name was Narayan, and he called out the name of Narayan at the time of death. As he was dying, the Yamadutas came to take away because of his sinful activities, but because he called out the name of Narayan, even though unintentionally he wasn't actually thinking of the Supreme Lord Narayan, he was thinking of his dear son Narayan. But the potency was that the name, form, qualities, and process of the Supreme Lord are equal in every way. So the name of Narayan has the same potency as the Supreme Lord himself. So when he called out the name of Narayan, then the Vishnu Dutas came, protected Ajamil from the Yamadutas. Yamadutas were bewildered, seeing these beautiful forms of Vishnu Duta. They went back to Yamaraj and asked him, who are these saintly personalities? I thought we were serving you all the time and nobody else. And Yamaraj explained that these are the Vishnu Dutas. So when Ajamil came back to his senses, he realized all his mistakes and he had this second chance that he could actually recollect some of the qualities he had as a Brahmana from his previous or in his early stage of his life. And then he completely surrendered himself to Krishna, gave up all his sinful bad habits. And as a result, when he really did pass away, then the Vishnudutas took him away to his heavenly planets. Similarly, we mentioned about the story of King Bharat. This life, King Bharat was a great emperor. As you know, India is named after King Bharat. It's a powerful emperor of the world. And at the time when he decided to give up his kingdom, his wealth, his opulence, his wife, his family, his kinsmen, in every possible way that he's achieved by conquering all the other the kingdoms under his protection, under his rule, when he came into renunciation to think about Krishna, surrender to Krishna, he became very attached to a deer, a baby deer. His mother had been attacked by a tiger nearby. King Bharat became very affectionate to the deer. He would constantly look after him, take care of him, feed him, and take care of his necessities and protect him in every way. But in his old age, when King Bharat came to a point when he was going to leave his body, instead of thinking about Lord Vishnu, instead of thinking of his devotional life, his devotional practice, because he was very attached to the deer, he was thinking of the deer at the time, at the very crucial time of his life when it came to its end. And in his next life, he became a deer himself. But fortunately, by his prime or pious activities in his previous life, he remembered Lord Vishnu in his form as a deer, and his next life, he was known as Jad Bharat. He was a very intellectual person, but to outsiders, people saw him as a very unintellectual person. And that beautiful pastime is also narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this verse is very important that we also remember Krishna at the crucial time of our life. All our life, we're always hankering for certain desires in our life, freeing ourselves from sinful reactions. But our desires are also very strong. There's material opulences, material desires. The nature of the soul in its original constitutional position is to love and also to be loved. But that love has to be of a higher realm, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here also Krishna, in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is actually mentioning about the Lord. He acts in the form of an actor, even though he lifted up the Govardhan hill with his little finger on his left, as well as conquering so many demons and performing so many activities. The Supreme Lord, because he is supreme, he can do whatever he can without the need of any sort of artificial means. He did not need to lift up Govardhan hill with his little left finger. He did not have to kill the demons with his bare hands. He could have done it just by his mind, by his thoughts. Ultimately, he is the creator of every living entities. He is the creator of this material universe, the spiritual universe. And if he wanted to, he can annihilate them just by his thought. But he did this in a way to perform certain activities to reflect as a person, as the Supreme Lord coming in, descended into the spiritual world in the form of a human being. Although he's not a human being, but to the audience, those who perceive him, see him as an ordinary person. But of course, those who actually are on the intellectual level understand him as non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So although he comes down and performs all these different leelas like Lord Ramachandra, how is it possible that his beautiful Lakshmi Devi got abducted by Ravana, how is it possible that Lakshman was wounded by the arrow of Ravana's son Indrajit? How is it possible to understand that the Lord, the Supreme Lord, was suffering in such a way of separation from Lakshmi Devi? But a lot of these leelas and parshaps that take place, as explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana, are also reminders of ourselves that we are actually going through these difficulties in our life, but by surrendering and to the Supreme Lord, we can actually overcome a lot of our difficulties in our life. Even though Queen Kunti, the Pandavas, they went through so many difficulties in their life, but still they were constantly surrendered unto the Supreme Lord's for protection, but at the same time, they knew that he was a bestower of causeless mercy and also the results of all the consequences that was happening in their life. For Srila Prabhupada in his life, although he wanted to surrender so much to the instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but somehow or another, there were so many impediments in his life, his family, his social life, his business, his status of duties for his family, his so many thoughts in his mind that was coming in his life, and he was unsure what to do. Even though he was constantly writing letters to the governments, to the agencies to support him, and his spiritual masters in the need of preaching Krishna consciousness at a difficult time when World War II was happening. But he always came back with negative replies from the governments, from the ministers, from the different boards of education. Even though he went to the authority of rehabilitation, here, if you can help us in supporting this prime Krishna consciousness and those situations who are going through difficulties, those who are coming through the war, those who have lost loved ones, we are there to help you, support you by the instructions of the Supreme Lord from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the letters he kept on sending to these ministers, to these authorities, always came back with a rejection. Srila Prabhupada also constantly thought about why the Supreme Lord, by his love to his devotees, he completely rejects those devotees. That wretched person is mentioned in the sloka, takes away all his wealth, his family, his opulence, and he rejects this wretched person. Srila Prabhupada also wondered why Krishna has rejected him in such a way. When he was just about to have his manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita printed, 1,200 pages, there was a printer who was just ready to print his manuscript. Then when he went back to find that manuscript, he could not find it anywhere at all. That was his life and soul. He'd been working on it for 2 years. Can you imagine losing that hard work, that endeavor of preaching and given that particular manuscript so it could be translated into the Bhagavad Gita, completely lost. You know, he couldn't figure out who it was. Was it his wife? Was it his family? Was it somebody else who stole it? You know, the paper was a very rare commodity. The government won't give him any paper at all for printing. He went through a lot of tribulations, but somehow or another Krishna arranged it that although he went through that difficult life in the stages of his life, but it was also a lesson for us. And thanks to Srila Prabhupada, by establishing this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we're able to understand a little bit about who the Supreme Lord is. And by endeavoring, by faith, by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, reading the Bhagavad Gita, we come to understand who the Supreme Lord is. Otherwise, most of us would have carried on in our day-to-day activities just the way that we do by our own parents, because it's a form of, or it's like a formality. Have a little temple offering, arti, agabati, little water or flower. But actually, we didn't really understand who the Supreme Lord is, what is the purpose of our life. And here, Srila Prabhupada, or rather in this particular verse, it mentions that when we actually think of Krishna at a very rare point in our lives, or not rare point, but at a point in our life, the most crucial point where we get our life, we should at least remember the transcendental names, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. And that will free us from the sinful reactions of many, many births, lifetimes. I'll just go to the next verse now. regarding I was just going to mention about Krishna lifting up Govardhan Hill. Yes, as I mentioned earlier on, he did not have to even lift up the Govardhan Hill with his little finger on his left. Because if you look at the cosmic universe, if you look at every planetary system, just by his meditation, by his glance, he enters into each planet, and by his energies, they stay in orbit. So by the supreme will, you can imagine this material universe is orbiting around, functioning in its routine just by the will of the Supreme Lord. So although he's performing all these leelas, all these activities, he's acting like an actor just to please his devotees. Verse 16, Yovaham cha krishas cha vibhu swayam cha stiti bhava pralaya hitavatma malam pitvatri bhava vridaika urus prarohas tasme namo bhagavate bhavana dramaya. Translation: Your Lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary systems. The tree has grown by first penetrating material nature in three trunks, as me, that's Lord Brahma, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we three have grown with many branches. Therefore, my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation. The cosmic manifestation is grossly divided into three worlds, the upper, lower, and middle planetary systems. And then it broadens into cosmos, 14 planetary systems, the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a supreme root. Material nature, which appears to be the cause of the cosmic manifestation, is only the agency of the energy of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 10. Majakshena prakriti suyate sacha pracharam. Only under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord does material nature appear to be the cause of all creation, maintenance, and dissolution. The Lord expands himself into three, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, for maintenance, creation, and destruction, respectively. The three principal agents controlling the three modes of material nature, Vishnu is the Almighty. Even though he is within the material nature for the purpose of maintenance, is not controlled by the laws of material nature. The other two, Brahma and Shiva, although almost as greatly powerful as Vishnu, within the control of the material energy of the Supreme Lord. The conception of many gods controlling the many departments of material nature is ill conceived of by the foolish pantheist. God is one without a second, and is the primal cause of all causes. There are many departmental heads of governmental affairs, so there are many heads of management of the universal affairs. So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that although the Supreme Lord, he is the cause of the creation of the material universe, and by his will, Lord Brahma and Shiva, although they may be as powerful as the Supreme Lord, but because the will of the Supreme Lord, they've given that position of creation from Lord Brahma and also annihilation as Lord Shiva. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the impersonalist does not believe in the personal management of things as they are. But in this verse, it is clearly explained that everything is personal and nothing is impersonal. We have already discussed this point in the introduction, and it is confirmed here in the verse. The tree of the material manifestation is described in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as the Ashwatha tree. Its root is upward. We have actual experience of such a tree when we see the shadow of a tree on the bank of a reservoir of water. The reflection of the tree on the waters appears to hang down from the upward roots. The tree of creation described, there is only a shadow of the reality, which is Parabrahma and Vishnu. The internal potency manifested in the Vaikuntha Loka is the actual tree exists. And the tree reflected in the material nature is only the shadow of this actual tree. The impersonalist theory that Brahman is void of all variegatedness is false because the shadow tree described in the Bhagavad Gita cannot exist without being the reflection of the real tree. The real tree is situated in the eternal existence of the spiritual nature, full of transcendental varieties, and Lord Vishnu is the root of that tree also. That root is the same, the Lord, both for the real tree and the false, but the false tree is only perverted reflection of the tree. The Lord is the real tree, is here offered obeisances by Brahma and on his own behalf, and also on behalf of Lord Shiva. So in this particular verse, it mentions about the planetary systems. And also it mentions about the 14 planetary systems, just for convenience. I'm just going to quickly show you this. This is the planetary system. It mentions about the 7 lower planetary systems. It's got the middle planetary systems, which is the earthly planetary system, 7 upper planetary systems, starting from the bottom planetary systems, Spatala, Vasatala, Matala, Talatala, Sutala, Vitala, Tala. And then the earthly planetary systems is Burloka. Then you have Purvaloka, which has the Rakshasas and the ghosts. It's always wondered why the Rakshasas and the ghosts are on a higher planetary system. Anyway, some question I need to ask myself as well to a more senior devotee. Svargaloka, which is also known as Indraloka, heavenly planets, realm of 330 million demigods and demons. Then you got the Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. And beyond that, you have the other planetary systems, Maheshwaradam, and then you have also Goloka Dham as well, the upper planet, the spiritual world. But it also mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions from the lowest planets to the highest planets are all places of misery. So whether you're in Burloka, whether it's in the Patala Loka, or even in Satyaloka, which is the abode of Lord Brahma, are all places of misery. So the idea is to free ourselves from going into this material planetary system. From the Bhagavad Gita also mentions that those who are in the mode of goodness live in the upper planetary system or the higher planetary systems. Those of those who are in the mode of fashion, living in the middle planetary systems or the earthly planetary systems, and those in the mode of ignorance live in the lower planetary systems. Also in this particular verse, it mentions about the reflection of the tree. So just for time, I'm just going to read from chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, the first few verses. Text 1, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedakins. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So this is the tree Srila Prabhupada was referring to in the previous purport. This is the imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and the branches down. So when he was mentioning about the reflection of the water of the tree, it refers to this particular banyan tree. Its roots are going actually upwards and the branches are downwards, but you see the reflection in the water as well, which reflects the material reflection. The reflection in the water reflects to the material world, but anything beyond that, the real tree is the imperishable banyan tree. The branches of this tree, the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has roots going down. These are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Text 3 and 4, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. With the determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began, and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So this weapon of detachment, what is this weapon of detachment? It's by performing the 9 processes of devotional service that we've mentioned quite often, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, remembering and hearing the Supreme Lord and remembering Him constantly. Just like we mentioned about earlier on, when one quits his body, remembering the Supreme Lord Himself attains the Supreme Lord's nature. Of this, there is no doubt. We have to surrender ourselves with the weapon of detachment, cut down this strongly rooted tree. Nobody knows where its roots are, nobody knows how far the branches go. So you can imagine the foundation of this tree is very, very strong. And to cut it is not just a matter of using a weapon, but we have to use our mind intelligence to completely detach ourselves from all worldly goods. We see whatever's going in this material world, everything's so negative, everything's so not so happy in terms of like whatever we see in the material world. So we have to free ourselves from this material world and attach ourselves to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And that is done by Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada, Nagati, Katopi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, we cannot receive the benediction of Krishna. Now, just quickly finish the last verse. I believe this is actually quite a long verse, a purport to this verse. Loka vikama nirata kushale pramata kamani ayam tvaduti pavadarchine sve yastavad asha balavani hajivata sam sajachinati animashaya namostu tashme. Translation: people in general all engage in foolish acts, not in the really beneficial activities enunciated directly by you for their guidance. As long as their tendency for foolish work remains powerful, all their plans in the struggle for existence will be cut to pieces. And therefore, for my obeisances unto Him, Christ has eternal time. Purport: people in general are all engaged in senseless work. They are systematically unmindful of the real beneficial work, which is the devotional service of the Lord, particularly called the Yachana regulations. The Yachana regulations are directly instructed by the Lord, the Narada Pracharatra, and are strictly followed by the intelligent men, who know well that the highest perfectional goal of life is to reach the Lord Vishnu, with the root of the tree called the cosmic manifestation. Also in the Bhagavatam and in the Bhagavad Gita, such regulative activities clearly mention. Foolish people do not know that their self-interest is in self-realization, is in realization of Vishnu. The Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, verses 30 to 32. Just for time, I'm just going to read the translation. Persons who are determined in totally rotten false material happiness cannot become Krishna-minded, either by instructions from teachers, by self-realization, or by parliamentary discussions. They are dragged by their unbridled senses into the darkness region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. Because of their foolish activities, they are unaware that the ultimate goal of human life is to achieve Vishnu, the Lord of the cosmic manifestation. So their struggle for existence is in the wrong direction of materialist civilization, which is under the external energy. They are led by similar foolish persons, just as one blind man is led by another blind man, and both fall in the ditch. Such foolish men cannot be attracted towards the activities of the Supreme Powerful. It's actually the neutralizing measure for their foolish activities. Unless and until they have a good sense to be guided by the great souls, completely freed from material attachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asks everyone to give up all other occupational duties and absolutely engage in ajna activities and pleasing the Lord. But almost no one is attracted to such ajna activity. Everyone is more or less attracted by activities which are conditions of rebellion against the Supreme Lord. The systems of jnana and yoga are also indirectly rebellious acts against the Lord. There is no auspicious activity except archana of the Lord. Jnana and yoga is sometimes accepted, then the pure view of Arjuna, when the ultimate aim is Vishnu and not otherwise. And conclusion is that only the devotees of the Lord are bona fide human beings for salvation. Others are vainly struggling for existence without any actual benefit. Just to quickly finish off, once again, people work so hard like donkeys and asses, but they have no attraction for devotional service to the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of Archana, which is the worship of the Lord, which also comes in the verse, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Archanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So it's important that we actually carry out this Archanam, worship of the Supreme Lord. So in the recent, just to finish off, in the recent Back to God magazine, this one here, if you've received it by post, if you read to the article, the monthly article by Srila Prabhupada speaks at, just for time, I'm just going to narrate this beautiful question by Madame Sauté to Srila Prabhupada. This is a lecture or a discussion on June the 15th in Paris in 1974. Madame Sauté, Your Divine Grace, one who is not inclined to study, can he or she attain God by directly surrendering unto Him? So Srila Prabhupada explains, yes, certainly, does not require education, scholarly knowledge, or anything. If one agrees to surrender to the lotus feet of God, then his life is perfect. That is stated in the Vedic scriptures or Vedic literature. Radito yadi hadis tapasa tatakim. If one has surrendered himself to the lotus feet of God and is worshipping Him, there is no more need of austerity and penances. So in other words, if one worships the Supreme Lord, surrenders unto Him, then there's no need for tapasya, austerity, charity, or any penances at all. And at the same time, Srila Prabhupada mentions, Narada tito yada haris tapasa tapakyam. One has not learned how to surrender to God and worship Him, then all His austerities and study is useless. So in other words, we could study and perform all sorts of austerities, charity, penances, but if we don't know how to surrender to the Lord, if we don't have faith in the Lord, if we don't worship the Lord, then all our fruitive activities are completely useless. So in this particular the actual translation is said in the Narada Pancharatra Aradito Yadi Haris Tapasatata Kim. Krishna is worshipped. If it is the goal of advancement, there is no need for one to execute severe types of tapasya because one has already achieved its destination. So I'm just going to end there. So thank you everyone for joining in, and please forgive me for any mistakes. I believe there will be a singer today. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Beautifully explained as always. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, for today's bhajan, we have dear Inakshi and Pavni who will be singing beautiful bhajan, Yugalashtakam. So, when you're ready, Inakshi and Pavni, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Prema Mahi Radha Radha Prema Mayo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gatir Mama Krishnasya Dravinam Radha Radhaya Dravinam Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Krishna Pranamari Radha Radha Pranamayo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Krishna Dravamayi Radha Radha Dravamayo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Krishna Gehe Sthita Radha Radha Gehe Sthito Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Krishna Chitta Sthita Radha Radha Chitta Sthito Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Nilambaradhara Radha Pitambaradharo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Vrindavaneshwari Radha Krishna Vrindavaneshwara Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Krishna Premamayi Radha Radha Premamayo Hari Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Jivane Nidhane Nityam Radha Krishna Gati Mama Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would you also read the translation? Hare Krishna.
Sure, Mataji.
Beautiful sang, beautiful. Haribol.
Thank you. Radha is immersed fully in pure love for Krishna, and Hari is immersed fully in pure love for Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is the precious treasure of Krishna, and Hari is the precious treasure of Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is the dear life of Krishna, and Hari is the dear life of Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is totally melted by Krishna, and Hari is totally melted by Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is situated in the heart of Hari and of Krishna, and Hari is situated in the heart of Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha's mind is fixed upon Krishna, and Hari's mind is fixed upon Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is dressed in blue, the hue of Krishna, and Hari is dressed in yellow, the hue of Radha. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Radha is the mistress of Vrindavan, and Krishna is the master of Vrindavan. In life or in death, Radha and Krishna are my eternal shelter. Hare Krishna.
That was so beautifully recited and beautifully sung. Thank you so much, Bhavani. And
Thank you.
I forgot your second name. The other devotee singing.
My sister is Inakshi.
And then actually, are you allowed to show your camera? I just wanted to show everybody the wonderful devotees who sang. You know, there's an innocence about children when they sing. This is sung with purity. And I remember listening to this song many years ago when I first heard it. It was so beautiful. Then recently, Sri Ram Maharaj sang it. Thank you, Bhavani. How was your sister?
Yeah.
How old are you both?
I'm 17 and my sister is 13. She's turning 14 tomorrow.
She's feeling shy. Oh, shall we all sing Hare Krishna to your sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what was her name again? Sorry, Bhavani.
Inakshi.
Exactly. Hari, everyone, if you want to sort of unmute yourself and say Hare Krishna, happy
Hare
birthday.
Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
to you.
Hare Bol.
Hare
Beautifully
Krishna,
sung.
Hare
Bol, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna. Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. Have a
Very
wonderful
nice.
time. Just carry on. Do carry on. It's a beautiful song you sang.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, as well.
Very beautiful. Krishna Mai, Radha, Radha Mai, Krishna. Beautiful song. Both the sisters
Yeah.
sing this. Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
These
All
two
glory to Prabhupada.
sisters actually brought this song into this association, Prabhuji. The first time I heard from them this song, and absolutely it melted our hearts.
Yes,
And they're
it did.
still singing. And I think they had a small video also before, isn't it, Pavani? Both of you singing this song. Maybe you should share that again into the group. Absolutely wonderful, Prabhuji. They sing in such rhythm and beautifully.
Yes.
And happy
Actually,
birthday, Nakshi. Huh?
yeah. Actually, what you should do on Radhashtami, or any day really, see if you can actually sing that song. You maybe feel very shy singing in front of
Yes.
Radhika, but you know, you'll certainly Krishna and Radharani will certainly feel your presence singing, you know.
Yes.
And we all will as well. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
so
thank you for always
much.
getting a group of devotees to sing as well. Shiji Kishore Mataji is so nice, and Nartha Mataji as well. Thank you, everyone. Please say some humble obeisances. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha
Rubhyascha
kripa
kripa
sindhubhya
sindhubhya
cha
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo namo
namo
namah.
namaha.
Jai
Ananta
Shri Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda
Vrinda
ki
ki jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.